Welcome back, everybody, to Two Guys and a Stack of Comics. I am Reed. Along with me, as always, is Mike. Mike, how are you doing, sir?
Hey Reed, I'm doing good. How's everybody doing?
Well, exciting weekend. We get Deadpool and Wolverine. A lot of folks have seen it. We're gonna do a video about Deadpool. We'll touch a little bit on the movie, but no spoilers for the movie. Stuff that was in the trailers, we'll mainly talk about. And it's not even really about the movie that we're doing this about. We're doing about an announcement that came from Marvel today. So in addition to Deadpool and Wolverine, we also have San Diego
Comic-Con's going
Comic-Con
on.
is going on.
San
And so
Diego.
San Diego Comic-Con, a lot of announcements. But one of the things is you and I have on this channel talked a lot about the missed opportunity that was tie-ins to the movies, the video games, and really this last kind of decade of comic book storytelling, probably about 15 years to be honest, of blockbuster movie after blockbuster movie after blockbuster movie, and then the comics don't reflect any of it. Literally, during the Avengers heyday of the films, Tony was dead, Thor was replaced, Cap was replaced. But you would think maybe over time, because what happened is when that happened, the comic sales tanked while the movies were blowing up the box office. And so Deadpool and Wolverine is coming out. And so, to be honest, I thought for a second that Marvel Comics is getting it. I thought they were getting it, Mike. They gave me hope. Because the last month they have done this Deadpool and Wolverine comic book series. And that was three issues, but I was like, smart. And on it, you get Kubert on art with Joe Kelly, one of the guys who did the founding runs of Deadpool. Fantastic. You look at the comics this month, they've had Deadpool variant covers for folks to capitalize on that. Great stuff. They've also done facsimile reprints of his first appearance in New Mutants 98, his first solo issue, and one of his classic appearances with Wolverine. All
Yeah.
time to release with the movie, and I thought they finally get it, Mike. They finally get it.
Yeah.
Then the San Diego Comic Con, we knew two things were getting announced. Joe Kelly and Ed McGuinness, who did this run of Deadpool, his very first solo series, were going to be on a new Marvel title.
The
And
big
they
run,
had
right?
exciting Deadpool news. And I thought they are so brilliant, Mike. They are going to come in here. They're going to give us a Joe Kelly, Ed McGuinness Deadpool run to capitalize on the movie. All seemed great, except for Joe Kelly and Ed McGuinness have been announced as a new creative team on Amazing Spider-Man. And Marvel,
Oh,
in their infinite wisdom, has decided they are going to kill off and replace Deadpool in his own comic book. Now, the other thing that you might think, now, you might think, well, you know what? Read, Mike, this is where you're crazy. This new movie is a multiverse movie. Maybe they're going to focus on one of the Deadpools in the movie, right? And it's
right.
going to be a girl replacing Deadpool. So maybe it's the Lady Deadpool character that's in the trailers prominent. It is not Lady Deadpool who's replacing him. Instead, it is his teenage daughter, Ellie Wilson, in the comics, who will be Deadpool.
Okay. They dropped
That
the they dropped the ball.
Mike, before I go on a long-winded rant about this, just your thoughts.
It's more of the same, right? Um, they have this thing. I don't know if you ever pay attention to like Formula One race cars, right? And they go back and forth, and one of the famous things they do is they draft because of the wind from the lead car can help propel you on. It can save gas and help, and eventually, if you're a good enough driver, you can sneak past that guy. But you draft, because you want to be, you have a winner, you have the movie,
Yeah, you've got some momentum that could carry you.
you got some momentum, and it almost seems like to me like that they've just given up because it seems to me like they don't care about capturing a new audience. They just want to soak the old audience for as many dollars as they can until we're dead. And then comic books will finally die.
I
But
think
the thing about it is that like you have all of these opportunities over the last 20 years. I take the kids to the movie, everyone's excited. We go to the comic book store, and they don't have anything to match the movie. They don't have a series that helps carry that story forward. Um, I don't know what to say. It's almost like, okay, we're throwing in the towel. We know we're not going to capture a new audience. Manga's got all of those dollars. Let's just soak the old guys with endless variant covers, and we'll figure out something else later. But the thing about it is, it's like, I don't know. I had so many
I
ideas like over the years. Like, you could sell comics at the movie theater, have your local comic shop set up, give them like business cards and tell them where the shop is, and follow me to the shop after the movie. There's tons of stuff. But then you go into the store, like you said, with the Avengers, you know.
it was literally like, I believe in the comics when Logan came out. And I guess spoilers for Logan if no one's seen that. But the whole movie is about Hugh Jackman's Logan dying
Yeah.
and X-23, taking up after him. In the comics, they killed Logan before that movie. And then when Logan launched, Laura had been Wolverine in the comics. So naturally, you have this movie where Logan dies, and the natural carry on would be, okay, X-23 is going to live on. They decided, no, that's the time to bring Logan back and bench X-23. And it's just, here's the thing. I understand your point in somewhat in saying they just want to milk us for as much as they can as fans. I don't even think this gets that, though. Because the weirdest thing about this, Marvel, all you had to do was do nothing. Just keep producing a Deadpool comic book like you have since like the early 90s, and you're
Yeah.
good. That's all you like. I don't need a special relaunch with a superstar artist and all this. Just have a Wade Wilson Deadpool comic book on the stands so that the kids who see that movie, or the teens who see that movie, or the adults who see that movie, who go, man, I forgot how great Deadpool is. Oh, there's a comic shop. Let me go pick up Deadpool. Have a comic to read. This, because what's
Who
so weird about
knows?
this,
Maybe they'll start a sub list at their local comic
and
shop.
maybe they'll read that and they'll get it, and this is the thing, right? I think people would go, well, read, they have this, right? They have this Deadpool Wolverine series. And I agree. This was a great idea from Marvel. But the thing is, it's 3 issues. It's 3 issues. And what's depressing about this is at the end of this comic, it advertises what's next for the characters. For Wolverine, if you're a fan of him, it's a great time, which I love as a Wolverine fan. You've got a miniseries with Jonathan Hickman and Greg Capullo coming up, so you got a superstar creative team on that. You've got a relaunch of his solo book coming. They've put him back in the yellow and blue costume after the last 5 years where he's been in the brown and tan costume. Wolverine, they are handling correctly. There's a book with Claremont coming on the stands and all this. But the Deadpool comic they advertise in here, like, hey, if you really liked this, go pick up our Deadpool solo series, is literally the issue where they're going to kill off Wade Wilson and make his teenage daughter Deadpool. And it is so infuriating. Because here's the thing, who is this making happy? That's the bigger question that I have on this is who sat in a boardroom and went, you know what the best thing we can do right now is? Kill Wade Wilson and make his daughter, who's not in the movies, who's not even mentioned in the movies, who hasn't really made a huge impact in the Marvel canon, Deadpool. Like, why? Because here's the thing, I'm not actually even against this story idea. And that I read it. Haven't liked the recent Deadpool comic. I tried a couple issues. The only portion of the comic that was kind of interesting was the building relationship with him and his daughter. And I thought it was some decent Deadpool writing. And that one of the things about Deadpool that's interesting is while he is this zany, out there, absolutely crazy character, there's always an inherent tragedy, like a darkness behind the humor where there is a little bit of heart. And I think the movies have captured that well at times. And so I thought, okay, kind of cool to give him a daughter. Maybe they'll do something with it. But yeah, they kill him off as he gets a movie. It's literally, you and I are football fans, right? I like the Bears. I like the Panthers. Obviously, I like the Bears are my favorite team, but I got a lot of football stuff. You're a huge Raiders fan. This would be like the movie. This is like if in the NFL, when they do the NFL draft, you pick a quarterback as the number one pick in the draft. And then the team goes, you know what? We're not selling any jerseys in the team shop of this football player.
No merch. No
No,
merch.
no bobbleheads. Now, if you go to the
I'm
stadium,
a
we
fan.
got
Like,
nothing
I
for
just
you.
watched the game. I just watched the game. I want to get that guy's jersey.
Nope.
I need to get a T-shirt something.
It just, and it's like, no, it's dead. It's dead. We have a shirt with a picture of his daughter on it that we're gonna sell. It just, what are you doing? It's the, me and you talk about all these old fables and stories and stuff. It's the scorpion and the frog thing. This is Marvel every time. It's just their nature. Like, I don't know what it is, but the scorpion stabbing the frog halfway through across the river where they're both going to drown. He goes, well, it was my nature. Like, this is Marvel Comics. I don't understand this. Because, like, here's the whole thing. I get if Marvel Comics went, you know what? We haven't seen much growth from the movies anyway. We're just not going to do a huge launch or anything. She would understand that. All I need you to do, though, is just have a Deadpool comic book out. Like, just keep that solo book that you've largely had since the 90s.
No, I wanted to
And
be.
they can't even do that.
I wanted to be in the boardroom when they said, "Hey, we've got a $300 million movie coming out with Deadpool and Wolverine. Okay, guys, I want some ideas on the table right now. What are we going to do in the publishing end? How are we going to capture this moment? Oh, I got an idea. Let's do a comic with Deadpool and Wolverine in it. That's a great idea. Okay, I mean those are two of our biggest
Most
stars, our biggest
marketable
characters.
characters.
Let's
Yeah.
do a comic book. Great idea. Great idea. Oh, but it's only going to be 3 issues. We'll just do three. Like you could sell a Deadpool Wolverine team up comic book for 20 years into the future.
Oh, yeah.
Let's do 3 issues. And then that's
The
it.
thing, Mike, the
And
thing is,
also, by the time the movie comes out, you're lucky if your comic shop will have,
any of those
a
comics.
random variant cover of 3 or 2.
Yeah, no, for anyone who sees this and runs in and tries to grab it, it's probably sold out because they didn't really time it right with the movie. I mean,
So
I
you can
guess I will
understand the
say
kid. You could
the
you could
final
just like
issue did come out the week of the movie. But again, this I believe was a month ago. This was or 2 months ago and a month ago. So likelihood if you go to the comic store, they're probably not going to have these. Or if they do, it will be the
I know.
special
And can you
Donald
imagine the
Duck as
tragedy?
Wolverine variant cover
The
or something.
12-year-old kid that finally gets his parents to take him to the comic shop after the movie. And oh, there was a miniseries, but guess what? You missed it. The letdown, the air out of the balloon. It's just like
Well,
womp
but you see,
womp.
Mike, they can't do a Wolverine and Deadpool series because they're too busy making stuff like Mystique and Sentinels.
Right.
You can't, you just couldn't publish a Wolverine and Deadpool comic in this
Well,
environment.
that doesn't make
You
any
need
sense.
you need the
Instead,
hits like Extraordinary X-Men and
a dozen different
Sentinels.
X-Men titles without Deadpool in them. And okay, and we'll do that instead of the great idea. The one guy in the back of the room said, we could do a comic with Deadpool and Wolverine. I mean, that's a brilliant idea. Would
You
that
know,
sell? Oh my gosh, would that
yeah,
sell?
two characters who constantly have comics, but
Yeah.
you know, they probably can't see. I mean, look, when you got to get the hits out there, right? And Marvel, as we know, they're all about giving us all the books we want, right? They got to get that Dazzler solo book out there, and Mystique and Sentinels, and give us 4 different X-Men teams. I just, man, I literally just look at,
It's
I
a head
saw the
scratcher.
headline, and it's funny. It's just they can't stop themselves. I think that's the craziest thing to me is at a certain point this can't be accidental. It almost seems like an intentional desire from the comic book wing of Marvel of like, no, we're not doing that. You want a Deadpool comic because the Deadpool movie's popular? No, we're not doing it. I do, it makes absolute I can't. That's the thing. In the comments below, can anyone explain to me why this is a good idea? Why anyone would green like this? If anything, you would think that they'd be going Deadpool crazy with like, hey, let's do a Deadpool miniseries, especially the inexcusable thing to me. This run of Deadpool, and I am not the biggest Deadpool run fan in the world. This run, Joe Kelly and Ed McGuinness, the original solo Deadpool comic book, like his first ongoing that he had. He had a couple miniseries and stuff like that. This is some of the best comics out of the 90s. It's some of the best Deadpool comic books, period. And the thing is, unlike Spider-Man, where Ditko and Lee are long past and can't wait anymore, right? They're dead. Obviously, can't do that. That's tragic. Bill Finger and Bob Kane are gone. Siegel and Schuster with Superman are gone, right? You actually employ and currently use both of these creators. They're in a good relationship with you. Joe Kelly was willing to write this Deadpool miniseries. And you're instead of going like, hey man, this would be brilliant to do an ongoing with these two guys who made it work as an ongoing series. We can
It's
bring
like
them
the
back. We can do it. This would
it's like putting the
literally
band
be,
back together for the reunion tour, right?
well, especially because they still have good relationships with Marvel. And
And that's
honestly,
rare.
both of them can still do monthly comics. That's the crazy thing is like Ed McGuinness does 5 or 6 issues of Spider-Man a year. So it's not one of those things where it's like, well, Ed McGuinness only draws like one issue a year. You don't really see him. It's not something where Joe Kelly only writes specials or he's launched some Ghost Machine imprint and you can't possibly get him. The other thing is Rob Liefeld, the guy who created the character, still writes Deadpool miniseries every once in a while for Marvel. It's like, how on earth did you've got Joe Kelly, you've got Liefeld, and you've got McGinnis. You've got the majority of the team that was responsible for Deadpool's creation. Who is there? You are launching this humongous movie that, in all honesty, all of us as comic book fans, whether you're DC or Marvel, are hoping does incredibly well because the comic book movie needs a shot in the arm badly. And Marvel Comics is just like, eh, let's kill Wade Wilson.
It's so
I,
weird because the theater down the street from my house has been packed since, I think, did they do a sneak peek on Wednesday?
but no, they've done. I think my son and I we've never done pre-order tickets much of anything, but like I was looking Thursday night. I think when they showed it, every showing was sold out. Friday,
The parking lot
largely
was
from
packed.
11 a.m. to the entire. I think my son and I were able to get tickets for tomorrow at like 10:30 in the morning at a showing that I believe the theater created because there was so much stuff that they started adding extra showings. And I don't, especially Marvel, because this is the biggest thing. DC, look, you and I are fans. I know DC can't do things right. I love DC Comics. I expect DC Comics to shoot themselves in the foot all the time. I inherently love DC, so I can't even be mad about it anymore because that's just what they do. Marvel, what is crazy to me is they have had the last couple years have been rough, but their run of public successes, the fact that most little kids can run around and know who Groot is and Rocket Raccoon is, and the
Yeah,
cultural awareness of so many Marvel characters, they have been so successful in a way that DC truly hasn't. Right?
right.
DC, really, other than Batman and Superman, Wonder Woman, hasn't been able to get a lot of characters over with little kids. Marvel has, especially in like the teenage audience, all this stuff, the folks who are reading manga, right? You'd think, hey man, Deadpool, this is a huge shot, and they
They
can't
dropped
do
the
it.
ball.
I
It's a big fumble, and it's so crazy because they had that miniseries come out. I mean, that's a genius idea. Hold the presses. Let's hold off on this big X-Men launch. Let's start a long-legged run of Wolverine and Deadpool. And if the movie's a flop, it's a flop. But all indicators were for the last 6 months that this was going to be the summer
no,
movie of
like the
the year.
pre-order numbers on this have been crazy.
Yeah, but in publishing, you have to plan a year in advance. But at least to have it like on the and release it. The first issue should have come out
This week.
next Tuesday, like after
Well, the whole
everybody
thing
went to the
is,
movie this
can
weekend.
you imagine if with because I mean, look, and maybe it's the theaters who produce it, but we have all these crazy popcorn buckets and all this stuff that's now associated with these movies. Can you imagine if at the movie theaters they had shipped this comic book there behind and at the concession stands, hey, commemorative first issue of Wolverine. Heck, you do a million variant covers, do a movie theater variant cover of this comic that you can buy with your ticket of Deadpool and Wolverine
Yeah,
and just see. I mean, heck, I buy all the comics anyway. If I went to my movie tomorrow and there was a Deadpool and Wolverine comic with a movie variant at the movie theater where they're like, hey, you want to buy
would
this? My kid's gonna ask for it. I'm gonna buy it.
Absolutely.
And the whole
And
talk, you could hook all these fans. And the thing is, like, you could have created demand. Let's say you gave every movie theater 150 copies of this, told them to sell it. It's going to sell out easily. And then all of a sudden it
it
becomes a
becomes
collector's item
150. Can you imagine like how many millions of people are going to see that?
and
You would have
want to buy
sold
it.
500,000 copies.
Well, the
And the
crazy thing
thing of it
is,
is that, you know, even
even if
if,
you didn't want to do a huge printing of it, you could put 100 copies at each movie theater. They sell out. And then you could go, you know what? The comics sold out at the movie theaters, but as we do with every comic now, we are going to do a reprint that will be available at your local comic book shop next Tuesday after or next Wednesday, the week after the movie releases. You could
I
have
mean,
created demand. You could have done all these things. And like it's not like Marvel's not printing comics. I mean, they're printing now these free comic book things with three comics in them that they give to the comic book shops. It would have at least been worth the gamble. Instead, let's not do anything to tie in and get it at the movie theaters. I mean, this series, and I liked this series. It was good, but again, the timing of the release is off, and then you kill off Deadpool and his thing. I will say I am glad as a Wolverine fan. If you're a Wolverine fan, you got some great comics headed your way. So good for you. If you like Deadpool, which, geez, Deadpool and Wolverine, I guess bad luck for you
you,
that they've decided to kill them off. But
you really
yeah,
can't lose with that combination. And a Deadpool Wolverine book is going to run circles lengthwise through any of the 12 X-Men titles that they just released, probably,
yeah.
except for maybe, you
No,
know,
I mean, and the crazy thing is, like on these things, they've been doing Deadpool movie variant covers. It's like if you'd have gone to the theater and here's a variant cover of Hugh Jackman's Wolverine on one hand, and the other we've got a variant cover of Deadpool, and it's at your local movie theater. You probably could have made it a $6 or $7 comic, charged more than at the comic shop.
yeah.
Yeah. Again, me and you try to stay positive. This is just one of those things that
I
just
mean,
there's no way.
I can't believe no marketing guy has ever thought of that in the last 20 years with all these hits of movies. But
Well, the
maybe, I don't know.
Well, the craziest thing, just saying this out of showing how tone deaf I think Marvel is at times. They announced San Diego Comic Con started today. They did this big panel of Wolverine and Deadpool, and I believe they brought out all the actors and actresses in the film and all that, including all the spoiler ones that are out there. So if you haven't seen it yet, be careful all the spoilers and stuff. But they did this big panel, and I think they believe they showed the movie at San Diego Comic Con, got a ton of hype for it. If you go anywhere online, there's all this. And Marvel Comics responds to all of that hype is, hey, we've killed off Deadpool. And the thing is, because there's some people who are saying, well, Reed, that's a really Deadpool thing because Deadpool's super meta in the comic books and like they would do the most unexpected thing. No, no one's buying your meta humor. You need to move comic books. Like that's the biggest thing. I don't care if like, well, it's in line with the character at times that he would die off at the most inopportune time. I've seen some people saying that. That's ridiculous. You need to move comic books. Stop making Dazzler. Stop making Sentinels. Stop making Mystique. Stop publishing these books and actually put comic books out that people want to buy. It just, man, it's frustrating. It's just,
Yeah.
I
You
wish,
know,
I wish we
it's
had better news, man. I wish we had better news
it's
for
really
folks.
frustrating for us because we want to see comics go on beyond this. So, and as two dads who've really tried to, bring their kids up in the comic book fashion and get them interested in comics, it's kind of sad that, and like I know,
That's the crazy thing is me and you are both going to take our sons to this movie. I know I'm going to
absolutely.
take my
And are
son
they
tomorrow.
going
I
to
think
love
you're
it?
going Sunday. I'm going to take my kid to this movie. And if it follows the tradition, he will want to go to the comic book store after. And a chance to grab him as a fan, they have
Uh,
largely just tossed away
Yeah, and
for
it's not like, just a one or two, like what's going to be ongoing. Like, Jack subscribes to Spider-Man and that's it. But he loves Wolverine and he loves Deadpool. So I don't know. We'll
no, just
see.
another missed opportunity.
Yeah.
As always, though, folks, if you see some knowledge in this that you look and go, no, read Mike, here's where it's actually a brilliant idea. I would love to see anyone who can make an argument for it. And I'm not even saying that sarcastically. If there's anyone who can sit here and say, hey, man, no, here's why this is actually brilliant, I'd 100% hear it. Because I mean, I'm just looking for any way, shape, or form that this makes sense,
How did you
especially
explain
because
it?
of all the characters that could have replaced Deadpool. Like we know from the trailers, there's a Deadpool core in this movie. There is a Lady Deadpool. Like even if they went, we're killing him off, we're replacing him from Lady Deadpool because we thought she was going to be the standout of the movie. I could understand that logic. This character that's not in the movie, never been mentioned in the films, is doesn't have a huge comic book presence even. And to be honest, that's the other part is it's not even going to get long-term fans. Like no long-term fans are like, oh, cool, they made Wade Wilson's daughter Deadpool. I gotta go run out and grab that. Like I just, who are they trying to get to buy this?
Now that's an event like if you wanted to, write that in the story, first you create the book that has the legs, and then later on in the story you put that in. But not right after the hype of a movie. You're not going to get that. You got to meet the customer where they are. Right now, they're excited for Wolverine and Deadpool. And right now, they're going to go into the shop. And right now, their comic shop isn't going to have anything to sell them. Oh,
Yeah,
you missed the miniseries because you're not cool enough. You don't buy
you didn't know the
the
miniseries was coming out before the movie.
yeah.
Yeah,
How come you didn't know that? You're not a good enough nerd or a geek to know that you should have gone to the comic book store 3 months ago to get a comic because you haven't bought comics in a while. And now that you've seen the movie, you just kind of got excited and thought, maybe I'll open a sub list. And because this movie's great. No, sorry, you missed the boat on that. You can wait 2 months for the reprints to come out. Forget about it. Let's go
yeah.
get a hot dog. We'll talk
No,
about the
kid
movie.
probably kid probably walks over to the manga section and grabs another One Piece or Naruto or
Yeah.
Bleach or
Yozakura
whatever else they
family.
have.
This manga looks pretty interesting, Dad. You know that's what's going to happen when we take our guys to the comic shop. This is Jackson at the comic shop. Looks at the wall for a couple minutes. Right after that, I'm like, hey, hey, there's a new whatever. Gwen Stacy's got her own comic.
Yeah,
Man, let me
you
go see
get.
what's on the manga shelf, Dad.
But if you do like the Deadpool Wolverine movie, have no fear. There is a Sentinels, a Mystique, and a Dazzler comic coming for your kids soon.
Yeah,
So, you know, great stuff. Let us
yeah.
know as always what you guys think below. Sorry for a long-winded rant on this. Just man, a missed opportunity. And it breaks our heart. As comic fans, is one thing with me and Mike on this. We want this hobby to continue, man. We want a new generation of kids
We're
to find
really
this
trying.
hobby.
We're
And
really
it
trying
just
here.
and again, if anybody in the comments can explain why they think this is actually secretly brilliant, I would love to actually hear that, not even in a sarcastic or anything kind of way. If there's anyone who can sit there and go, actually, let me tell you why this makes sense. I'd love to hear any argument because it doesn't make any sense. As always, folks, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're going to go check out the movie this weekend, hope you have a great time and enjoy the film. And we love seeing what you guys think below. God bless you, and you have a great day, folks.
Thanks, everybody.